Well, hello and welcome to Qlik Spotlight. My name is John Sands, and today, under the Qlik Spotlight, I have the very great pleasure of having Mark Meersman, who's the managing partner from IPC Global. Welcome, Mark.
Good morning.
Yeah, good afternoon. We're different parts of the globe, so different
No
time
doubt.
zones. So, I mean, I've heard of IPC. I've known them probably as long as I've been at Qlik for, and I know they've been in the Qlik community for a long time. But there will be some people out there that maybe haven't heard of them. So, give us a little overview of both yourself and what you do, and who IPC are.
Yeah, very well. Today we're a 50 plus colleague organization focused on data analytics and cloud solutions. We had chosen some 15 years ago now a Qlik to be a strategic partner of ours, and we prided ourselves year over year to try to be the very, very best in the world at Qlik. So these are the areas we focus on and the technology Qlik. Along with a few others,
Yeah.
AWS for the last 8 or so years, and now Data Robot in the last year.
So what is your role at IPC then, Mark? Let people understand what you do there.
Multifaceted. I run sales and marketing here at the organization, but I think more importantly, I drive a culture
Mm,
that we've developed over these 20 years of running our firm. And the culture honestly started with a simple motto called customers for life. And
yeah.
if we sit on the same side of the table and we engage them with technical solutions, with value every day, they'll invite us back. And it was fun yesterday in speaking with our very, very first Qlik customer,
Ah,
the Warnick Company. They
yeah.
still use Qlik today. They still get value out of Qlik, and they would argue it has made a material difference in running their business over these same 15 years.
So the White Company, is that the White Company, the one that do all the bedding for British Airways?
No, actually, it's called the Warnick
Oh, the
Company,
Warnick.
and
Ah, I apologise.
they make the
So what do they do then? What do the Warnick Company do?
yeah, they manufacture food. Shelf stable foods primarily. We've all microwaved a dish here and there, right?
Yeah.
But they make that, and really their claim to fame is making meals for our military, meals ready to eat for our
Ah.
military. And they're just a great organization on many fronts.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping I was in the military, but many years ago, in the 80s, and back
Right. So
then,
you
and
probably ate C rations, right?
well,
So
yeah. I had those, and the only good biscuits were the one with the raisins in it. So the rest of it
right.
was very, very
That's right.
dry. But yeah, that was
They've
an
enhanced that a
interesting.
little bit more so now with the
Yeah.
meals. I think there's some 20 some odd different meals that they make ready to eat and have added all the things you'd expect, including some flavors. So,
Oh, nice, nice. I'm
yeah,
glad to hear that. So, okay, so I mean, I've known IPC, and for all the time I've been at Qlik now, what 13 years. So you've actually been at
right.
Qlik for longer than I have. So,
We've
what
been
kind
here a
of
while.
changes have you seen? I mean, I look back and I look at ClickView. I mean, my first version I knew was actually ClickView version 5 because I work with a partner
Nice.
as well. And what
Yeah.
changes have you seen in that time between where we are now, both on a company basis and on a software basis within the years that you've been working with Qlik?
Well, I've been so thankful, first of all, Click as a partnership, but moreover, your continued investment
Mm.
in the technology. You've invested on all fronts, and then that very bold decision to take this core and put it truly in a web-based application has
Yeah.
been dramatic. So what we've done, and I would argue many of partners done, is how do we take that incredible capability, deliver it to the customers, and where Click has decided or are unable maybe to fill in a gap,
Yeah.
how do we do that? And so we have been a partner on many fronts. We're an OEM partner in a small way, but never
Mm.
we fill in Click where it's not. But I've loved the investment to answer your question.
Yeah, and but I've certainly seen that, and I think with the way that the industry has gone and the way that the software has gone, it is amazing. I mean, Click, and you found, and I'm sure you find this, you get so many loyal followers of ClickView, and people still love that, don't they? They still love that
They
technology.
do.
But where we've gone now with ClickSense, and also going into subscription is has been a real game changer. And has this been an area where you think as a partner, because let's be honest, you're not going to sit down and say everything that Qlik has done we agree with. There's bound to be some kind of issue. Has that subscription side been somewhere you have seen as a good move or not?
I do. I think the
Mm.
subscription, it gives us more pricing options. Actually calling the licenses what they are, which is
Yeah.
professional, analyzer, and now even capacity. Those
Mm.
are great things, and they're great for the customers who need to scale up and down, and it's great for us as partners who are trying to deliver that into the
Yeah, yeah. I
market.
mean, I do
So,
remember the days of document cows and all that that entailed and so on. So yeah,
right.
it's good to see that that's happening. Now, one of the things that is a real strength at IPC, and I know you concentrate heavily on this, is using Qlik as a data warehouse. So explain what you do and how that happens within IPC.
Yes, certainly. Um, well, I guess one of the things that's really important is a theme, a virtue, I should say, here at
Yeah.
IPC Global, which is humility. And at IPC Global, what that means is twofold. One, people that are humble listen. And the reason why I bring that up is we were listening to the market and they
Mm.
were telling us two things. We are using Qlik as a data warehouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and the other thing is get behind and lift up other people around you to though they can be better. And so
Yeah, yeah.
we got behind some ideas our customers had and implemented Qlik as a data warehouse. So I mean it in a couple ways.
Mm.
Qlik in and of itself naturally has some data warehouse capabilities. It has the ability to connect to multiple data sources. It has the ability to read and transform in ClickScript that data into other data. It has the ability to persist that data
Mm.
into reusable data tables. We call them data objects, and those data objects can be used in many of data models. So, what is the comparable in traditional data warehousing?
Yeah.
The traditional is an ETL tool, dare I say, Informatica, that can
Mm.
read and transform and write and persist. And it persists into what typically is a relational database. What's funny about data warehousing and relational databases is when we build data warehouses, we turn off the word relational. We don't
Mm.
use that feature because it's used for transactional systems where SQL and Oracle, et cetera, had grown up. And so what we do with Qlik is literally persist hundreds and sometimes thousands of data tables, QVDs, in a format that can then be consumed downstream.
Yeah.
Downstream is what the database engines do in stored procedures and views. But Qlik beats that in spades with its associative data model.
Yeah, of course,
So
of
we
course.
can take n number of reusable data objects and read them into a data model, and Qlik auto generates the indexes and views, we call them hypercubes,
Mm.
over that data. And so we were implementing, and we put that challenge out there. We've closed down a number of Oracle data warehouses
Oh, good.
and turned off that, and Qlik literally paid for itself simply
Mm.
using some of these, advanced implementation techniques.
Yeah, and that's something. And back in my pre-sales days at Qlik, I remember that the whole QVD and the data layer and so on, and how that was used was, and you've really seen that now and grasped, which is fantastic. Now you
And one of
mentioned
the
date.
things we did, John, I think
Yeah,
is important is this. There's a term in the marketplace we've owned for a long time called a data warehouse. And what
yeah, yeah.
if everybody in their mind could picture walking
Mm.
into a warehouse and if things are racked and stacked and organized. That's true. And data warehousing organizes data that way. A new term came along called a data lake.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about a data lake is you just pumped all your data in there, and isn't it great? We actually, with Qlik, use a term called a data store. All of
Yeah.
these are under the DMSA or data warehouse definition in general, but very specifically, warehouses and lakes don't compete very well with stores for this reason.
Mm.
Going into a data warehouse, you need a technical person to go into the warehouse with you and get data out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Going into a data lake is really messy because all this data is swimming around in there and
Mm.
it's very difficult actually to get it out. So, for self service, which is the modern thing, warehouses and lakes are a challenge.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say a data store. When we go into a data store, the data is nicely labeled, it's packaged, it's got all of the quality that you'd expect when you go into a
Mm.
store, and our people are able to shop or self service themselves with that data.
That's very
And that's
important, isn't
why
it?
Qlik, when we
Self-service. Yeah.
produce these reusable data objects, they're not just a copy of a table, but
Hmm.
all of the labeling and the naming, etc., are ready for the users to shop.
Yeah, yeah. And as I was saying, that's very important, the self-service side, and that's one thing that Qlik, and I've certainly noticed that, is you don't have to be a data scientist to create a QBD in the first place. You have to know a bit of scripting, but you don't have to have a huge brain to do that. So it
That's right.
brings back that to the business rather than having to go through IT all the time.
That's right, for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, one of the other things, and you mentioned data robot a little while ago, and AI for us and at Qlik as well is becoming increasingly important. So, what is IPC's approach to delivering this to your customers?
So whether it's Qlik or AWS or Data Robot, we
Mm,
pick the best in the market, and Data Robot is the best in the
yeah,
machine learning marketplace. And so that in and of itself, for customers who want to predict the future of whatever that might be, both in predictive and now we're even getting into prescriptive. Can the
yeah,
machine
yeah.
make a recommendation as it relates to this? And so that in and of itself is great. We're leveraging our core competency, as I just spoke about, the data store, because that data in the store is what we
Mm,
use to feed Data Robot. So with the Data Robot connector you all produced, and we've enhanced that using the Data Robot APIs, we
yeah,
can not only train Data Robot uh, with Qlik, but we can automate the training and the retraining
I
so
see.
the data model continues to get better in whatever it's predicting.
Yeah, because it has to have that data to learn, doesn't it? If it can't learn,
It,
then it's not going to work. Now, are you finding within your experience at IPC, are you finding a particular type of customers are asking for this, or is it across the board?
so it is across the board, but I find it interesting. I wouldn't have predicted that the marketing and sales organizations
Hmm.
seem to be the first to raise their hand.
Oh,
The
okay.
first, they are dealing with the market and all of the complexities of
Hmm.
their market, and so I find them to be the first to raise their hand. However, we've used operational analytics, financial analytics, things of that nature.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and another thing to also to press home here is people. You often hear this about artificial intelligence, about losing jobs, and they're going to take over the world, all that kind of thing. But it is really around augmented, isn't it? So you can't take away the human input. You have to have that as well to first do a sanity check and to teach the robot in the first place.
You do. You
Mm.
do. And interesting, you take the robot and you actually focus its eyes, if you will,
Yeah.
on a particular thing. We, with our augmented intelligence, we have peripheral vision. We've got the
Mm.
ability to change. Again, a feature of Qlik and of Data Robot is speed.
Yeah.
We, back in the ClickView days, used to talk about throwaway BI. Build it and see if it's valuable, and if it's
Yeah.
not, and because it only took me hours or days, it
Yeah.
didn't matter. And that's true for Data Robot as well. I can go and tell the machine this afternoon to learn something, test it, bring it back to the stakeholders, and see if there's real value there for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I use an analogy around photography on this. The fact that back in the days of film, you'd have to be careful with the film you used, and you'd then have to take the
Right.
photograph. It would have to be developed, and then you'd get it in, and you'd say, "Well, that's no good. I need to do it again." Whereas now, with digital photography and with things like AI, we can just run that and test it again and again and again without having to worry about that side. So it's a fascinating industry and technology. So we're
Yeah.
missing out one. I think one last chunk we're missing out here. So we're talking about, artificial intelligence. We're talking about data warehouses, data lakes, and the way that IPC do that. But one of the most important things, and again, another focus in Qlik, is for any of this to work, we need to understand that data. And one of the things that we do at Qlik is around the data literacy. So what's your take on that? How do you see that helping?
So data literacy is super important. It's a term we're using regularly during the sales cycle and certainly in
Mm,
implementations. And like literacy, you have to learn to read. And it's very
yeah.
tough to learn to read without showing them. And thus, the visual capabilities and the discovery capabilities of Qlik are the best in the world.
Mm,
And so,
yeah.
what we're able to do is show them their data. One of the things is that the market is good at responding to now is let us come in, read
Mm.
much all of your data, show it to you, and then we'll work on requirements for reporting
Yeah.
analytics because they don't know what's in that
No,
box.
no.
And Qlik is phenomenal at discovering what's in that box, helping define those rules, and then iterating again, whether it's in Qlik script, building reusable data objects, or master items. Qlik is great at putting those rules into the data, where appropriate.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing again, going back to my pre-sales days, is answering the question that you didn't even know you wanted to ask in the first place, and that whole curiosity around what the associative model, and in all my years at Qlik, I've never seen anything do it quite as well. Is that associative and being able to click around and explore and yeah, find answers to questions you didn't even know you wanted to answer, and that curiosity is very important.
It is. It's very,
S-
very valuable. And
Mm,
I think it's also amazing that one of the things maybe is to rejuvenate that associative data model discovery capability, which
yeah,
is a differentiator. I find it part of my job is to educate the market on the clear differentiators of Qlik versus the other BI tools.
mm,
We're an enterprise platform, and what those tools force us to do is have very limited focus views. Some of them can't even take dimensions and go sheet to sheet very
no,
gracefully so
no,
that you can continue your line of thought as a discovery or analytical role or whatnot. And
mm,
so in literacy, with Qlik, we've made that much easier to achieve. Um, and with the master items that we've have in the solution now, be able to have consistency across that. Now,
no,
one
it's
of the things as it relates to in the general data warehousing term is we needed a way to create a dictionary. So we needed to add a few
mm,
things to Qlik to round out this data warehousing. Qlik is a data warehouse story.
yeah,
And so one of those things that we did is we added a dictionary. It's an extension object for Qlik, and it allows me then across all of my applications, Qlik View, Qlik Sense, to have a place in which I actually have captured the from and the to name. Like when you open up a dictionary, it gives you the name and it
yeah,
gives you
yeah,
all the aliases and it gives you the source, so lineage. So we've basically added a dictionary to that. And so when we produce data, it shows out in a consistent way. And
yeah,
then
and
at
that.
the other end
Go
of
on.
the solution, we added something that the market was asking for, which is an ODBC driver for Qlik. And I
Mm,
don't mean reading a QVD. What I mean is by reading a data model. We all who watching this video likely know what a Qlik data model is.
yes.
And now we have the ability to go select field one, field two, field three from data model and
Mm,
read that data into whatever downstream source it is. Because Qlik is beautiful at creating data and models, what if we could feed that
yeah,
to other things? So we have customers literally using Qlik as an EDI generating, or in healthcare, HL7
yeah,
generating machine. And so, well, I need to feed that data downstream. And so with an ODBC driver, we can get that data out. And most recently, if you saw us there at Connections or otherwise,
yes,
we
I did.
added the ability to go select from Hypercube. And everybody in a
Yeah,
Hypercube is really a chart object,
yeah, yeah.
right? But it's inside of the chart object is even more rich capabilities of
Mm,
Qlik, namely set analysis, alternate states. So now when I read data out of Qlik, I can read all of that enhanced data, such as these additional dimensions and measures that I've
yeah,
calculated in the app, not in the script. And so the ODBC driver can read from that hypercube and feed it downstream. And let me
that's
give you an
amazing. Yeah,
example. You had asked me
yeah,
about
please.
Data Robot, and Data Robot wants a very wide, flat file. So in a SQL statement, I can create a flat file, a view or store. In an Excel, I can create a flat file. Even in a Qlik script, I can save as a CSV and create a flat file.
Yeah,
But what
uh,
I'm missing in that final preparation of the data is the set analysis and alternate states capability that
mm,
I want inside of my chart. So now with our ODBC driver, we can feed that additional business rule that's done right at the last minute into Data Robot through our ODBC driver. So really
that's
special
yeah.
capabilities for both technologies.
And I think this is where the power of the partner network and Click Community, etc., and where this really is we can't do everything. And what you're doing and what IPC is doing now is seeing a need and creating a solution to that need that then enhances and everyone's a winner because it gets more people to use Qlik. And I think that's fantastic. So yeah, and long may it continue. So those are things that you've got now and you that are available now. What have we got to look forward to coming out of IPC in the near future?
Right. So speed. And so we'll be looking and are developing things that allow our implementations to go faster. I'll give you
Mm,
an example. Imagine you hook up to whatever, an Oracle ERP system or online NetSuite ERP system,
yeah,
and you want to warehouse that data, or in our case, store that data. So we have generated already the ability to auto-generate all the scripts for all 7,000 tables in a matter of minutes,
yeah,
building an extension object for Qlik. So that part is done. But what we want to do now is the vendors have already documented in their stored procedures and views all the how tables relate in
yeah,
the
yeah.
from and the where statements of that. So what we're going to do is use that to build associative functionality when we're building the script. We're automating. You guys have multiple ways to do incremental loads,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but the developer has to work with and wrestle with these various techniques.
yeah,
And so we're working on automating the way to implement incremental loads um, for our customers who have larger tables,
yeah, yeah,
of course. And Qlik is brilliant at that. It's just a technical technique that we've done kind of as a best practice, but now we're
yeah.
going to be automating with our extensions.
Excellent, because I mean that was one thing again remember back in pre-sales days, which is an issue now, and that was calendars and things like that. Now we're automating
Right.
that and making it a lot easier. Well, that's fantastic, and as I said, it's so great to see partners like yourself and doing this kind of thing and expanding that. So we're gonna learn now. We're gonna change slightly, and we're gonna move away from IPC, and we're gonna find out a little bit more. Now this is something that I would thought people would learn. I mean, we could meet at connections, but not many people can sit down with you, Mark, have a beer and have a little chat. So that's what we're going to do now with a virtual beer.
Okay.
There's no beer here, I'm afraid. But how do you relax? So what after you've had a hard day and you've been working hard at IPC? What sort of what helps you relax?
Yeah. Well, maybe it's two things.
Yeah.
For y'all on this video, I'm blessed to be married for now 26 years.
Ah, well done.
I'm leaving for a anniversary trip on Monday, which is super fun. We're
Nice.
going to go to Italy for a
Ah,
couple
very
weeks,
nice. Whereabouts
so
in
that'll
Italy are
be
you
there.
going?
Well, we're going to start in the south down at the Amalfi Coast. We're
Mm,
going to drive or come up the coast up through Rome and Florence and
ah,
Venice
I'm
and
very
just
jealous.
spend a few days and all that. It'll be brilliant.
That is a
So, on a
beautiful part
personal
of the world.
note, my
Yeah.
wife and I, over these 25 years, we have five
Congratulations.
children. I've graduated one, got two in college, two in
Mm,
lower school. So, that is a joy for me, and I get to come home to that after work every day. And then
but
growing up, and my
mm,
wife as well, we learned how to snow ski
ah,
as kids and as
yeah.
adults now. And so we've taught our whole family to ski. And I would argue that's my most personal joy is to go out west
Mm.
in the Rocky Mountains, Montana,
Oh, beautiful.
and enjoy all that.
Yeah, I
For
haven't
all
asked you
you,
actually. Where are you based out of? Where do you work from?
yeah, I'm out of just Atlanta, just north of the
Ah,
city. So.
okay, okay, yeah. I can't ski. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at skiing, but I love the idea of going out to the mountains. That sounds fabulous. And how long does that take you to do that to get out there?
So fortunately, Atlanta is a hub, maybe the biggest in the world, and so we can go everywhere direct. So we'll fly into Bozeman, Montana to go to Big Sky, or Salt Lake
Yeah,
City to go to Park City. So those are
excellent.
all, just renowned places. And,
Mm,
just the air out there is very different than
yeah,
here in Atlanta, warm and humid often, but it's just a great experience and something we get to enjoy and keep us all close. So.
fantastic. So, give me a name of a film that you've watched more than once, and why did you do that?
Hmm. I would say I've watched Shawshank Redemption.
Ah, yes, that's a
Interesting.
recurring one. That's a brilliant film. Really is
It,
brilliant.
it
Yes.
is brilliant, and
Mm,
you want truth, you want honesty, you want
yeah.
what it really draws out in there. You want friendship,
Mm,
and despite the difficulties of all of the challenges they had throughout the movie. overcoming
Yeah, it's a
that. So
fantastic. I equate it to another one, a similar, another prison movie actually, which is Green Mile, and I love that with Tom
yes,
Hanks. That's another
yes,
good film. So you say you relax, you go skiing, and all that, but can you cook?
I do
You do,
actually.
fantastic.
Interestingly enough, my mom was happy to have me. She had four children, my brothers and sister, and so she taught cooking lessons out of our home.
Oh, nice.
And while she did that as a really young buck
Mm,
under her wing, she let me come into the kitchen. So I watched and observed, and it's surprising how much I can just throw together, if you will, with
yeah.
stuff that we have about, or I'll go out shopping and do that. But it is a joy.
Mm.
When I was in university, I went to Purdue University. I cooked breakfast, interesting, and short order cooked breakfast. And so I got very comfortable in the morning. And
Yeah.
so at my home on the weekends, I will, uh, you know, treat
Mm.
them with a really nice
Nice
set of
breakfast.
bacon and eggs and pancakes and the like. So,
Fantastic.
uh, so that's very fun.
Is there a signature dish that your kids will come back to you and say, please cook this, Dad?
Oh wow. So I don't. I think they'll do that with mom more. She's got some
Yeah.
staples. Christy's my wife. She's
Yeah.
got some more staples like that. However, we've been doing various types of ribs here
Mm.
on the grill and in the oven, and even we got one of those
Nice.
fancy pressure cookers,
Ah,
and
yeah.
we've experimented a bit with that. And that those things have turned out to be such a joy. And interesting that you bring it around to food because we eat together as a family
Mm.
all the
Oh, that's
often,
good.
almost
That
every
is good.
night. And it's noticeable when we don't, and it's
Mm.
noticeable when our kids aren't there or gone off to college when we've lost one, if you will, to the world in a good way.
Yeah.
But that's been a joy, and so we have a very large table that we just put all the fixings on and
That's
enjoy that
important, very
time. And
important. I think that kind of thing
yeah,
gets lost now with eating around the family, with like a television in every room, people with their iPads, with their computers. The whole concept of a family meal is ebbing away, I think. So it's great to see that you're keeping that going, and hopefully a lot of other people are as well. And I can
yeah,
equate to that empty chair at the dinner table because my daughter's off at university, my boys left home, so I
oh
can
wow,
I can certainly equate to that. And I much prefer if I'm cooking to be cooking for someone else rather than myself. So yeah, it's
yeah.
a
Your
much better
viewers might
experience, I
find that's crazy, but
think.
it was boy, 15, 18 years ago. I don't remember. But we turned off cable in our home
Mm.
and we took the TV out of the home.
Ah,
And we do have a place to watch like a Netflix or something
yeah.
and whatnot. But nevertheless, it had quieted our home down. So now our voices and our engagement and whatnot.
Mm.
And so just the other week, we had our family home. Some of my boys' friends came over, and literally after dinner, we sat there yet for another hour and a half, just sharing
Oh,
stories and
fabulous.
engaging.
Mm.
And it's very. I notice when I go out to dinner and there's TVs on in the restaurants, I naturally am just distracted or
Yeah, yeah, of
interested,
course.
right?
Mm.
And so it's different in the home, which is great.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I've been sat in many a restaurant because you travel a lot and you sit there and the television is the only thing
sure,
that sort of catches your eye. But when you're on your own, I think that's okay. You're allowed to do that.
for sure.
So, okay, 2019. Oh my God, we're nearly in what you would call the fall, what I call autumn. So we're coming up to the last quarter of 2019. But what is on your to-do list for the rest of 2019, both personally? I know you're off to Italy with your wife, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But what else have you got planned for the rest? What's left of 2019?
So a couple things. We're going to do that. That's a huge trip. Right when we get
Mm,
back, interestingly enough, we've got a number of customers on the West Coast. So I'm going to go do a West Coast tour in early October
yeah.
for that. So that'll be great. And then we'll be into, really implementation and planning for next year. I've got a great leadership team here
Mm,
that all bring something to the table, and then organizing them to grow. Let's be clear. When I started 15 years ago with Qlik, I think
yeah.
it was about an eight-man shop. Now over 50 colleagues strong, all certified in Qlik, including myself.
Yeah.
Um, it's important that we keep a nice, healthy, growing firm and aligned with you all quite
Mm.
strategically.
Well, that's fantastic. And Mark, I want to thank you very much for getting involved in spotlight. And I really do, honestly, from my heart, wish you all the best for the future. And hopefully, we'll be talking to each other in another 15 years
I look forward to
about
it.
how things have gone on in that time. And hopefully, I'll see you at Connections next year as well. So that'll be something interesting because
Oh, for
Connections,
sure.
I find, is a great way to reconnect with people, to get your ideas out there. And it's I love going there every year. It's a good part. So hopefully, I'll see you there, and we can, rather than have a virtual beer, have a real beer. That would be nice.
That would be spectacular. John, thank
Fantastic.
you
Well,
so much for this time. And thank you for all your listeners. I'm one of them in these various folks that you engage. And I appreciate the professional and the personal part of your stories.
ah, a pleasure. Yeah, yeah, and that's what I think is a very good part of it. So good luck for the future, Mark. We'll see you soon, no doubt. So take care and enjoy Italy.
All right, will do. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye for now.